My tools for learning and understanding. Hi, and welcome to Emotional Bandwidth. My name is Adrian. For today's topic, I wanted to deviate for a bit away from my usual fare into an area that I feel is extremely important and critical to personal mastery and success with others. As a preface, I have been a teacher/trainer for a good portion of my professional career, and I would dare say that I am good at it, but only because there are certain principles that I have worked out and adhere to. First of all, I've learned what makes a good teacher. We have been through school, and at some point it was a commonality that we would encounter what we thought were bad teachers. I would like to amend that and say that they are not necessarily teachers to begin with. I believe it was Einstein that said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Truer words have never been spoken. Sometimes, while they understand the material their way, they may not be able to explain it to you in a way that benefits you or touches your understanding. This is not to say that all teachers are bad at what they do, but I do think my approach could benefit you and anybody you are trying to teach something, as well as understand people better and their processes. Teaching, I believe, is a two-way street. While I'm trying to impart knowledge to you, I am also learning from you. You are teaching me how to interpret and understand things. This is a critical point in which to get information across. So often, we are programmed to be heard, but we do not listen to what is being said to us and what we are saying to others. As a teacher, or just as an individual, what has helped me in my interactions is this concept of mutual exchange. While trying to explain something or impart some idea of mine, I am also actively asking questions and paying attention to how you process information. Essentially, once I understand how you think, I can then tailor the information to your frequency and begin to explain things on your terms. Nothing is more gratifying than seeing that aha moment from anybody I'm trying to explain something to, or even in conversation when it's clear we understand each other. We don't have to agree on everything, but being able to have a dialogue and understand each other is paramount to individual as well as group success. This same idea applies to our everyday interactions with the world and the people in our immediate sphere of influence. So what I am proposing is to really concentrate on not so much thinking about what a person is doing or an action they are taking, but looking at the action and the person and seeing/thinking about what their motivations could be. For some, I have observed a few types that I think are a good starting point to consider when we see how people view and process things. There are those that understand things but need to have their confidence reinforced. Most of us are capable of critical thinking, but it would appear that we rarely approach things with this mindset. Nowadays, it is easy to allow others to process information for us, and this can also often lead to misinformation and manipulation by people who don't always want the best for us in our personal success. There are also those people who do not have the direct approach, who do have the direct approach, where they want to be put into a hands-on situation and grow up into the situation or process. Those people you have to step back and be more hands-off because they tend to be fast learners, and they benefit from actually doing things themselves, and their confidence grows naturally and faster without much prompting from me as an instructor. Finally, there's a personality type that is smart but does not have the wisdom to know their limitations. Usually these types of people say, I know, a lot. And to be fair, they're usually right. But the problem with this is that most people will be turned off by the perceived attitude and air of perhaps misplaced confidence. They are their own worst enemy in this sense, because when they truly don't know something or don't understand something, most people will already be tuned out and apprehensive about helping them. What is important is to allow these people to follow a process to their mistakes. The key is not to admonish them for it, because they personally are usually embarrassed that someone saw them mess up and will double down on that sense of smarts if their ego is bruised. This is a critical point that we can all benefit from. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes it is better to allow people the space for mistakes and to allow them to process it without a "see, I told you so," or "that's what happens when you don't listen." I would only take a hard stance with an individual that is so blinded by their perceived mastery of a situation that they could potentially hurt themselves or others. But most people will respect you for giving them the space to make mistakes and correct themselves. After all, that's how we all truly learn lessons. Unfortunately, it's not enough to just tell people what to expect. We all have to process and try things, and failing is a part of life. It's also a part of us to want better for people, but I believe we have to establish the space to be wrong and learn from that constructively. and to do away with defensive and counterproductive behaviors. So with all this in mind, I implore you to stop looking at the things that people do as an action against you or your character, but rather really think about how they feel or what could be going on in their head. It's when you're able to step back and observe their behaviors without any personal bias that you can see that most things they are doing are representative of their own feelings and their beliefs and are never personal, and yet they are. I will dive further into this concept in my next installment. Hope to see you there. This has been Emotional Bandwidth. I'm Adrian. Thanks for listening.